What is up, everybody? Welcome back, or for the first time, possibly, to the Collective Podcast. We're honored to have you, and we've got some pretty cool news, Shane, to share with our people. The Collective showed up at a really big mortgage event this past weekend and battled toe to toe with some of the most well-known coaches in our industry for decades, and we came out on top. It's pretty cool. And so, guys, as I competed in the Clash of the Coaches, I came home and was like, man, these questions that we answered from stage are really important questions. And so, Shane, I'm going to ask them to you on this episode of the Collective Podcast. And so we're going to run it in 3 rounds. And there's no we're not competing, obviously, but the first round is designed to be fast, which you're not great at answering fast. So
no, neither are you. You went over as well.
But I did it. I answered. I was actually praised by people for how few words I used during the clash, which no one's ever said to me.
All right, that's first time. There's a first time. It's because they were in New Orleans and, they'd had a few hurricanes, right?
No doubt. They had a real hurricane, and then I think they also drank a few. So here we go. We're going to jump in. Question number 1 is this. What's the secret to a great first impression?
It's a couple things. One, it's showing up. And what I mean by that is being present, being there for the person. And showing up also means you understand what they're trying to get out of that experience.
Yep.
Because if you go into it with your intent of what you're trying to get out of it for that experience, you're not going to touch on the things that they need, want, and are have strong feeling about.
That's it.
And I think that's a really important thing that most people don't ever talk about. They're trying to get their outcome before they've even addressed what the other person actually wants out of that.
Yeah, I think if we can go in with the desire to outgive who I'm sitting across from, I'm going to always leave with, a good impression in that person's head, I think.
Generosity, what's weird about generosity is the more generous you are, the more you typically get back. Not that that's the goal, but that is the outcome. And I think that that's true in this as well. Now, I'm also not saying you shouldn't have a framework for your conversations.
Sure.
I think you should. I think you should have scripting is a bad word because it comes across like you don't have feelings and emotions. But I think having a cadence that you stay on is really important because there are certain things that that they don't know that they need to get out of that first impression.
Well, for example, we're making the shift to be focused on enterprise opportunities inside of the collective. We're doing our homework as to who we want to reach out to, call that selfish or not. But then when we reach out to those people, we will lead 100% with generosity.
Yeah.
Right. So that should be, to me, the goal. Number 2, what's the best social media platform to market yourself and why?
It's whatever platform the people that you want to have in your life are on the most. And that's different. So for me, my number 1 platform is Facebook.
Yeah.
My audience, my entire audience is on Facebook. Some of my audience is on Instagram. Some of my audience is on TikTok. Some of my audience is on LinkedIn. They're all on Facebook. And so, but again, it's understanding that I know my audience. I know who they are, the demographic. I know that they live on Facebook. And so that's where I'm going to hang out because before we had social media, it would be no different. If my audience was builders, I would ask myself, where do builders hang out? And probably at the job site. And then I'd go to the job site. Or if I said, where do first-time homebuyers hang out? Probably at the apartment that they're renting. And I'd go to apartment managers and I'd put on first-time homebuyer classes for the apartment managers or something like that as an example.
My answer was very simple. I said at the event, it's the platform you'll actually use.
And for me, again, I hang out on Facebook because that's the platform I use most. I'm most comfortable with. And so it's almost, is your audience there? So you go there, or are you there? And so that becomes your audience. The answer is probably yes.
Yep. That's it. I love it. Question number 3. What's the best way to motivate your coworkers or staff?
I don't know if you can motivate people. I think you can love people.
Yeah.
I think the best motivation is self-motivation. And so I know for me, when I was at my worst or at my best, people were loving on me the most. And when I
Yeah.
was at my worst, it was helping me. And when I was at my best, it was fueling me and driving me. And so
Yeah.
I maybe that's not the answer you'd like, but I don't personally get motivated by other
Yeah.
people as much as I do something good or bad or feel something good or bad. And then somebody loves on me or is in my life. And so I think
Yeah.
just being in people's lives is a
That's
part of
it.
loving on them.
That was so my answer was proximity.
And just so
Right.
everyone knows, I was supposed to be at that event with you, but because of weather and travel, I couldn't go. I haven't heard any of your answers,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Not one.
well, we're gonna save some of them, so we'll have future content, to put out later. But I'm gonna share a few of them. But what you and we said the same thing, right? Like we are influenced by the people close to us, and I think we all watch companies where the leaders just lead from afar, and then they wonder why nobody's changing. But that leader's not willing to like get down into the trenches with people. And so like you can't make an impact on your daughter if you're not spending time with your daughter. Right? It's your proximity to her that ultimately
Yeah.
has the most influence on her. So that's good. Number 4, what's the fastest way to smooth over a disagreement with a client?
Acknowledge their feelings. Don't
So good.
try to remove them or avoid
Yep.
them or downplay them. If somebody
Yep.
like if it's a client, let's say, and they're frustrated about something going on in the deal, say, I know you're frustrated. Like, I'm sorry you're frustrated. If I were in your position, I would be super pissed. Like it's that
Yeah.
empathy piece
Yep.
that we're oftentimes not thinking about because again, going back to number 1, we're thinking about what's in it for me. I just want to close the deal. I just want to get off the phone. I don't want them to leave me a bad review. And so we're always thinking about us and how we're operating instead of thinking about them. If you called me and you said, dude, I'm pissed. You were supposed to be here. This was supposed to happen. This thing you recommended didn't work out. And if I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa, Kyle, let's pump the brakes here. Like I'm trying to avoid
Mhm.
something instead of I should lean in and be
Yeah.
like, it sounds like you're pissed. Tell me more. I'm here to listen. Hey,
That's
I'm
it,
just
man.
going to sit here and listen. And that's been the biggest diffuser of frustration in people in my life ever.
I'm watching a guy right now that if I said his name, everybody would know who he was. And he's making himself look like such a fool because he's talking about people on the internet that he supposedly did or didn't screw over. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you airing all of this? No matter who's right or wrong, like that, this is not how to do this. And it's really ugly. And I love your answer. I think that's what I said. We're gonna move in around 2. And guys, just so y'all know, Shane has not prepared himself for this. This is right, like this is off.
And
This is
not
off
in
the
a
cuff.
disrespectful way to our audience. You're putting me
No,
on the spot.
yeah, like we wanted this to be a very authentic and real conversation, not a premeditated conversation. And so round 2, this was the most uncomfortable round at the event because it was about role playing. And most people don't role play at all, ever. And so I'm going to give, so I didn't have to do all the prompts. Neither did any of the other participants in this. So some of these were meant for specific people. I'm going to give you the chance to do all of them if you want
Let's
to,
roll.
do
Yeah, let's
them.
go.
So the first prompt was this: pretend that the other coach, in this instance, it'll be me, is a home buyer who needs to discuss rates with you. Prove your value as quickly as possible.
And do we have any framework for this is somebody that's been working with me for a while? Is this a first conversation or the 10th?
It just says the only thing we got was it's just a home buyer that wants to talk rates.
Got it. So hey, Kyle, first and foremost, man, thank you for taking the time to jump on with me. You come highly recommended by Susie Q Agent. And I know that she only hangs out with people that are incredible people. So I'm excited to talk with you. First and foremost, before we even get started, I want to just find out what are the most important things for you to get out of this process, because this is really about, I know when I go into purchasing things, I have things that I want to accomplish, and it would be foolish for me to try to drive this conversation and ignore those things. What's important to you? Now, what you're going to say is rate, right? Like that's where we're getting. And I want them to tell me that rate is important to them. I don't want to say to them, rate's important to you. I want them to say rate's important to me. So I can say, you know what, Kyle, first off, thank you, man. Thank you for being honest about that. In my role and the way I've designed my company, we put that at the forefront, because there's nobody in 2024 who isn't looking to get a good deal. Now, we each define that differently. What does that mean to you? Like when you say to me, rate's important, do you want the lowest rate at any expense? Do you want the lowest rate with a certain level of an experience for you? What does that mean to you? Because as a mortgage broker owner, I have over 30 investors at my disposal. And these are not just 30, these are the top 30 investors from the perspective of rate, fee, experience, speed, and product availability. What does that mean to you?
It's good.
And then I go in, and once they get down, I go, that's awesome. Yeah. And then I will get into at the end talking about the market. So listen, Kyle, thanks. Sounds to me like you want to get as good of a rate without sacrificing or risking your ability to close on time, which I highly respect. Actually, most of my top 30 lenders all do that. Some are probably better positioned for refinancing, where timing is not so much of a concern. One of the things that's really important is to understand where we are today in the market versus where we've been and where we're going. One of the things I do is every day I consume knowledge about interest rates in the market. I actually look at something called a bond chart. I look at the markets because I want to know where we're going, and I want to know where you think we've been so that we're on the same page. Would it be cool with you if every Friday I sent you a quick market update so you can have your finger on the pulse of what rates are doing every week? And then I get them to opt in, and now I'm building my list.
It's good. Guys, this is off the cuff. So I bet nobody listening could do better than that if you had a month to practice. That's what I think.
No, I mean, they could. They definitely could.
So prompt number 2, let me tell you, this got the loudest ovation of the entire competition at Fuse. And it was only my prompt. So only I got to answer it. And the prompt was this: pretend you're recording a short ad to grab your customer base's attention on TikTok. Deliver your opening line.
I'm not even on TikTok.
So you want me to just do what I did for this one? Or do you want to go after it?
I want to hear yours, but okay. I mean, I think let me just really quickly talk about the opening line. There's so much effort that should go into understanding the best opening line. And so I want to talk just about that for a second, because I think that's really important. First and foremost, you have to define your audience.
100%.
So if your audience is investor,
my audience that I chose was VA, a VA buyer.
So VA buyers are so different than investors. Right. From a first-time home buyer. Like a VA buyer could be a third-time buyer, and understanding a VA buyer typically doesn't have a lot of time to get education on the market. They don't have a lot. They are busy. They're checking their email at the end of a long shift on their ship, at their station, at their base, wherever they are. Very different than an investor who's working 24/7. So I want to just kind of frame that up.
Yeah.
Don't tell your name. Don't talk about you. Get into the emotion, right? If you can hit on their emotion, and you want them to lean in to your sentence. If they lean in, you've won them with your hook.
That's it. So my prompt was for a VA buyer, and my opening line was this: hey VA, it was hey veteran. Hey veteran, this is just for you. Did you know that you already paid your down payment with your service?
It's good.
And that was it, right? That was the opening line. And it was wild. The room erupted. And I had people come up to me afterwards and were like, can I steal that line for a video that I want to do? I was like, I'm actually not even in mortgage, so I can't use that line.
So here's what's so great about that line. You touched on emotion. You touched on something that they all know, which is that they sacrificed 4 years or more of their time for their
Yep.
country. And in
Yep.
exchange, they got a couple of things. They got low pay for 4 years, but they got a GI Bill so they could go to school. They got a VA loan. Like, they got some unique benefits that no one else in the world has the ability or the right to get. And that's because of their service and their sacrifice. They know that. And you touched on that, which is awesome.
That's it. All right. Prompt 3. You're talking to a new agent. What is your pitch for them to add you to their network?
Well, Kyle, why did you get into real estate? I always start with questions, man. I think it's so important. Like, it's a trap because they're asking you to lead with something. I think you should always lead with questions. Kyle, what made you decide to get into real estate? And then I want to know.
Yeah.
What made you decide to get into real estate, Kyle? I mean, you've coached thousands of real estate agents. What made you decide to get into real estate?
I saw real estate as kind of an easy way to make money.
Dude, I totally respect that. What's actually funny is when I got into lending, it was actually for the same reason. I had a friend who said you could make a lot of money and it wasn't that hard. What I've come to learn over the last 16 years is there's so much strategy involved. And what my goal is, through everything I do, through generating leads, teaching classes, building out a brand that is like ironclad, no one can beat. I've done all of that because I want to build legacy, and I want to build legacy for my partners. I don't work with agents. I have partners, preferred partners, and my preferred partners get treated like preferred partners. There's a red velvet rope in front of everything we offer that is specifically to them that I don't give to just anyone. And so what a lot of broker owners will tell their agents is you're interviewing a lender. I actually think we're interviewing each other, because I know that all the people I've worked with in my 16 years have become some of my closest friends. And so if you call me on a Sunday, you say, I need a favor, I'm picking up that phone because you're my friend. When you say, hey, we need to make this right for this client, I'm going to make it right because you're my friend. But at the end of the day, it's about building preferred partnerships. And that's what matters most. And there's some really exciting ways I do that. And then I would lean in on something they've talked about. Hey, if you want it to be easy, we make it easy for you. If you don't want to spend a lot of time, you don't have to. If you want to make a bunch of money, here's what we do to help you make more money. And I'll touch on whatever they're telling me is something that matters to them.
So good. You were so intentional with your language. Talking about partner, explaining what that means, nonchalantly throwing in my 16 years of doing this, right? So that's a humble brag, right? Without making it about you. Guys, this is why we're doing the episode this way, because I think we undervalue the words that we use, and those words mean something to people, good and bad. And so, guys, I would rewind this about 90 seconds and go listen to that again, because that was really good. The last prompt, and this I think was the second moment in the actual clash where people were like, oh. So I'll tell y'all what I did. But the prompt was this: each of you is cold calling a potential client and is sent to voicemail. Leave your best, most convincing voicemail to get a call back. What do you think I did?
Well, it was something that was genuine, unique, maybe had a tinge of goofiness in it.
Yes, but here's what I did that blew the roof off this place. Is I said I wouldn't leave a voicemail.
Well, and I agree with you. I would send them a video.
I would send them a video.
Yeah.
And our boy Chris Vincent, whom we love, who is moderating this, Windsor Mortgage, an incredible company, he tried to go, no, you have to leave a voicemail. And I was like, no, I wouldn't leave a voicemail.
They're not going to listen to it.
And so, of course, the other two people, they left voicemails. And instead, I pulled my phone out and I said I would pull my phone out and say, hey, Shane, it's Kyle. I was trying to get a hold of you. I know you're busy, man, but I wanted to introduce myself. Shelly said that you're unbelievable at what you do. I love being in alignment with people that are awesome. I'd love an opportunity to chat, right? Like just very simple, but the fact that it will be a video will almost guarantee a response.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
And I delete most voicemails before they're even over.
If I was forced to leave a voicemail, I would say, "Hey, Kyle, it's Shane. You don't know me. I know you. I've seen you from afar. I'm actually going to send you a video because that's much more valuable. And you probably won't hear this for 6 months. And by that time, we're probably best friends."
That's
Then
right.
I'm getting on. I'm doing the same thing. I'm saying, now, if I could, I would look this person up. I should know this person. I think that for me, cold calling or doing things that are cold has a different definition because I've been building my brand, my engagement online. And so this person's probably one of the 7,000 people I'm friends with on Facebook that's following me. And so what I'm going to say is, "Hey, Kyle, it's Shane. You don't know me, but I do know you." And I don't want this to sound creepy because I'm not a stalker. I just have a ton of intentionality in investing in people who I want to be friends with. First off, man, congratulations on your wedding anniversary. Dude, I know, like, my wife and I beat each other up constantly. 16 years is a long time. Congratulations, man. That means a lot. I'll make this quick. I would really like to connect with you to talk about how I can benefit your business. And if we need to do that over the phone, via Zoom, I'm a coffee guy. I'd love to grab a cup of coffee, but also every lender says that. And this is not what every other lender is all about.
Yeah.
What does next week on Tuesday look like for you? Or something like that. And I would shorten it up a bit, but that's what I would do.
It's good. All right, let's wrap this up. Round 3. 3 questions. First question is this: what is the best way to prove yourself as a leader amongst your peers and staff?
I mean, show up and do what you say you're going to do and do it with authenticity. I would say do it with integrity, but and I do mean that, but you have to define what it means to have integrity in business.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think being who you are, good, bad, indifferent. Like, you and I had some very intense conversations last week with a really smart dude. And I didn't change who I was because I was intimidated by his net worth. Like, I am who I am. He is who he is. And I respect him more for that.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. I think that putting people before you, like last year when I started my brokerage, I made the joke, and it's totally true. I burned my daughter's college fund to like build the company for my team.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you say but you don't say it, just do it. And they will see through what you've done, who you are. And so it's all about the actions.
I think that's good. The only other thing that I said was that if you feel the need to prove yourself, you're already losing. And, that was kind of the phrasing of the question, but I just wanted it to be obvious that, like, if you need that, you're probably not in a good place. And so you should probably be working on yourself before.
Well, and because you're still thinking about yourself.
100%.
Right? You're like, oh, do they like me? Am I validated? Man, just worry about validating them.
That's it, man.
Spoken from a man who failed at that.
True that. Times. Me too. Second question. If you could tell lenders what they need to do to elevate their business today, what would you tell them to do?
Make their bed. And then, I would well, the reality is, I could waste your time and my time telling you the top 10 strategies the top producers all do: video, niche lending, education, online lead gen. The reality is, if you can't get up and consistently show up, none of that matters.
Yeah.
And so the secret sauce is consistency done with authenticity, leveraging tools in 2024.
Yep. I actually, I stole from you for my answer to this.
Yes. Finally.
I didn't even tell you that. I'd never heard somebody explain it this way, but the other day, I don't even think you were talking to me, or you definitely weren't trying to teach me something, but you just mentioned in passing that, emotional videos should be like one-to-one personalized. Non-emotional videos should be evergreen, record once, send 1,000 times. and I'd never heard them referred to as emotional and non-emotional videos. And so my answer was, you should do video every day, but not social media video, but in the way you communicate with people every single day. And then I broke down non-emotional versus emotional videos, and stole the show. So
I love it, man.
Thanks, bro. Last one. What is the secret to long-term success as an entrepreneur?
Laughing at yourself is one.
Yeah.
I think it's like a recipe that includes several ingredients. One is laughing at yourself, being willing to just humble yourself and say, that didn't work. Boy, that was a bad idea. Because you're going to make more bad decisions, invest in more incorrect things, make more bad decisions typically than you'll make good ones.
Yeah.
But, you know, for every 9 bad calls you make, you need them to be small. And that one you get right, you need it to be big.
Yeah.
And all the stories we hear are exactly that. So I think that that's a big part of it, is it's that humility. Like I talk to myself a lot. I just do. And I'm always laughing at myself. Like, what were you thinking? So I think that's important. I think I would say confidence, but when I started, I didn't have a ton of confidence. So I don't think that, I think that that comes over time through doing the right thing as often as you can and getting a great result. You go, oh, I'm pretty good at that. Like you and I talked about that this morning, right? You go, oh, I'm good at that. So I don't think you can just manufacture confidence out of thin air. I think it comes through doing the right thing, the right way, the right frequency. But I do think there's so I think that equates to confidence, but those are the things that make a good entrepreneur. And then I just think having an incredible board of advisors, and that should in some way, shape, or form include the most important person in your life, which A, for me is God. 2 would be my spouse. Right. And then 3, like that board is made up of people who are older, wiser, stronger, faster, better, nice, whatever that looks like. And they're constantly challenging me, and they're speaking into what I call blind spots, the things I don't know.
So good. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. There's a lot of nuggets that have been dropped on here in the last 27 minutes or so. This is what we do in the collective, right? We talk about what matters. We train to what is going to actually create change in your life, in your business. We do it together as a community, and we selfishly want you to be a part of it. And so if this is the first time listening, you can go to thecollectivecoaching.com, find out more information about what we do. You can reach out to Shane or I directly. Go look up Shane Kidwell on social media. Go look up Kyle Draper on social media. DM us. We would be happy and honored to talk to you. And we appreciate you guys listening. We will see you on the next episode.